T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Hey man, I think I am going to go into a short Luddite rant before we start. Is that cool with you?
Yeah. Do what you got to do, man.
All right, I gotta do this thing. So here's my rant. Let me go. I hear that the Consumer Electronics Show happened recently, right? And this is reportedly where all the crap you simply have to buy next is put on display. And other than a burp, or maybe more of a long, chunky belch, I guess, and my collection of news feeds, CES did not really impact me. And now, how can I say such a thing? Am I not a citizen of tech? And, well, of course, I am. But here is the thing. I mean, over the decades of consuming tech, and lots of tech, I've learned some things. And what I have learned primarily is that most consumer tech sucks, and none of it brings lasting pleasure. I mean, dude, you know me. I am a total nerd. I love tech, whether that's the more gadgety digital stuff that you're going to find at a CES, or cool things that science brings us, or the old world machines and systems that allowed humans without the benefit of electricity to accomplish feats that astonish we smug modern folks. I love it all. Even though I love all this stuff, I have really curtailed how much of it I'm actually buying. I mean, I'm way more selective, more discerning. I try to make my tech last a lot longer between replacement cycles. I mean, I waited a long time, for example, to get my iPhone 6S Plus, right? I mean, we had talked about it before. I was talking about rumors on the show and so on.
Yeah.
And only after a lot of reading and talking to other people about, do you really like your super big phone? Is that cool? And I'll have all those dumb conversations.
Do you still really like your big phone?
Yeah, exactly. I finally bought it, and I've had it for a few months now. I do use it every day. And okay, now that the shiny has worn off my fancy new phone, there are a few points to ponder that kind of illustrate this point, the thing that I'm ranting about. Before I bought the 6S Plus, Apple was already planning for its obsolescence. Just the iPhone 7 rumor mill is already cranked up now, right? Meaning the iPhone 7 had long been in design phase before the 6S Plus was ever released. Okay, what was the one big feature of the 6S Plus? Do you remember the thing that Apple advertised? Well, I guess you could argue about it, but what do you think they advertised the most?
The size and probably the 3D touch thing.
Yep, Force. However they ended up branding it, I think I remember it as Force Touch.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's an all but pointless feat. It adds weight to the phone and very little practical value that existing gestures can't accomplish, as far as I'm concerned. Things you can do swiping or multi-touch and so on.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, dude, I still can't type on this friggin' phone. Okay? It's like my thumbs are bananas, and I don't know what the problem is. I still can't type. I mean, the predictive keyboard is getting smarter, but it's just that the predictive capability isn't part of my brain function and how I type, and so I still tend to, go ahead, whoops, screwed that up, go back, back and forth, fixing errors, and then fixing whatever the heck autocorrect's bizarre interpretation of what it was that I'm trying to say, fixing those things. Again, this is a rant, right? So don't get me wrong. My phone is a great device. It's the best phone, mobile mail client, newsreader, outside navigation, handy camera, portable entertainment device I have ever had. It truly is. I mean, it's a jet traveler's dream. I'm getting ready to get on a plane later this week, and I'm very much looking forward to having my phone with me. But let's face it, at the end of 3 years, that's what I'm hoping to get out of this phone, 3 years. The current Apple flagship phone is just going to be another piece of tech I got to recycle, and I'm going to probably go out and buy something else, or maybe I'll even have to go out and buy something else because the radios in the phone will be too old or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And you get my point here. The iPhone, I mean, it's just one example. So I got this storage area downstairs, and I've got plastic bins full of stuff that I've replaced over the last decade. It got too old, slow, or broken, and then it wasn't really any practical use to me anymore. Thus this rant. I mean, the way I think about it, it's like the madness must stop, and thus it is. I just don't care about the Consumer Electronics Show. This is embarrassing almost, but my 8 or so year old 50-inch 720p Panasonic Plasma still looks awesome to me anyway. And the phone in my pocket's got more pixel density than that stupid TV, but it's great. So did I care about CES because of new TVs? Nope. My 5.1 surround is more than sufficient. Yeah, but dude, there's 9.2 and there's Dolby Atmos and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. There is not a hole in my life that I need tech to fill right now. I'm okay. I might be lying a little bit, okay? Because we were talking about cars last week, right?
Yeah.
These cars we got, and the factory stereo in my 2004 car really needs an upgrade, and I got to admit, CarPlay is going to totally change my life and make me happy, right? So there's that. But other than that, no holes at all. None. Not at all.
Not even a little.
Oh, okay. I'm done ranting now. On with the show. After that rant, if you have no idea who I am Ethan Banks, tweeting from @ECBanks, and this is the Citizens of Tech podcast, @Citizens of Tech. You can find us on Facebook, and every show we've ever done is at citizensoftech.com. And with me is my co-host, Eric Zutphen, @Zutphen. Eric, was my rant over the top? I mean, am I just the grumpy old man all of a sudden yelling at children to get off my lawn?
With your Twitters and your Snapchats,
Instagrams and your
hoodoo dot. I don't think it's over the top necessarily. I'm sort of in the same boat. CES came and I saw a few headlines for it in various online publications that I was reading and kind of went, okay, that's kind of cool, I guess, whatever. I'm very much in the same boat as far as either I don't have a need for most of what is being pitched at CES this year, or they've done a lousy job convincing me that I have a need for the things that are being pitched this year at CES. I don't need anything really pressing besides, like you just said, like we discussed in a previous episode, I'm looking at car audio because I'm driving more, and that's like the one big thing that is lacking in my vehicle. So yeah, I'm very much in the same boat, down to the fact that a car stereo is probably the only thing that I'm really looking at.
Well, then, we should probably stop our whining about the things we don't want and talk about the things we thought were cool. What are we going to discuss in today's 30 minutes of tech for our citizenry?
Well, we've got the biggest supernova ever. Your gadgets spying on you. Isn't that fun? Accelerated bone repair molecules, plastic-eating bacteria, the death of the shiny disk, and even a little history.
Why don't you open us up with this first story? Because you sent me this one over Google Hangouts, I think. Assassin supernova that is discovered, and it's 570 billion times brighter than the sun.
Yeah, 570 billion times.
Give or take. Give or take.
Yeah, roughly. It is. It's astonishing. So, roving telescopes have discovered the brightest explosion of a star that we know of. This is a quote from the Guardian article here. Astronomers have discovered the brightest star explosion ever, a supernova that easily outshines our entire Milky Way. An international team revealed, quote, the most powerful supernova observed in human history. And that was on Thursday in the latest Science Journal. So, yeah, don't stare at the sun. Don't stare at the supernova, right? It's 570 billion times brighter at its peak than our sun. So if you think about the size of, or the number of stars in a galaxy, you usually hear the term hundreds of billions of stars. And yeah, this thing outshines most galaxies that we know of. Why did they call it Assassin? I was hoping, there was some big reason.
Like it exploded and it took out all the other stars nearby. And it's the Assassin.
It took out an entire galaxy or something. No, it just it stood for something. It's been labeled ASASSN-15LH for the All Sky Automated Survey for Supernovae, and is pronounced Assassin. So that's actually kind of boring, but
so they know that it's this bright. They found this thing in the sky, et cetera, et cetera. So what do they do next with this thing?
They try to figure out why in the world is it 570 billion times brighter than our sun? What is powering this thing? We know roughly how a supernova works, right? But this one obviously stands out among them. There's so much energy being expended to reach that level of luminance. So that's the big question: is what in the world is happening that makes this one so special?
What in the universe, I would have to say.
Yeah,
So
right.
clearly it's not what in the world.
Touche.
Here's another article that you found. The Internet of Things is a growing spy network for internet advertisers. And this comes from the Schneier.com cryptogram. This is Bruce Schneier, a security guy. I mean, he's written a bunch of books. Everybody knows him, refers to him. He's got an opinion. He's very well known. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing his last name right. Some security people go, no, you're not. You can be quiet now. Here's the thing. You know that internet ads are trying to send you ads for things you're interested in, right? I mean, they profile you. Mm-hmm. So we've all experienced this. You Google some product, maybe you visit that product's official page, whatever it is, and then for whatever reason, it seems like for the rest of your life, you're getting banner ads for that product. Keep popping up on no matter where you go, whether that site is related to this product or not. You're seeing banner ads for it. Even if you already bought the stupid thing or you decided you didn't want the stupid thing, you're still seeing ads for it. It's super annoying. But the whole big idea behind this is targeted advertising.
Yeah.
Don't just display an ad generically on the internet. Rather, target a specific ad that is designed to engage you individually. And the older the internet gets, the more sophisticated this targeting technology is getting. And so to get to the article here, the cryptogram from Bruce, IoT is in on this thing. So to quote him, he writes, as computers get embedded into more of the objects we live with and use and permeate more aspects of our life, more companies want to use them to spy on us without our knowledge or consent. So Internet of Things, I mean, do you have much that you've bought, Eric, that you would say qualifies as an IoT device?
No.
Yeah.
Nothing, I don't think.
I've only got a little, and that's my I've got thermostats in my house that I can cloud control. They phone home, and then I can, there's a website I can go to. They're not Nests. They're a cheap, much cheaper version that have worked solidly.
Okay.
But, that's kind of it. I don't have a Samsung fridge. You've seen all this Samsung IoT stuff where you can order stuff from the front panel and blah, blah, blah. I haven't gotten into all that. But how depressing is it to think that as IoT stuff does become more mainstream and more a part of our lives, that they're going to be used to figure out what's going on, spying on us and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, there's an angle on everything, right? And this is multiple nodes potentially in your home that can be used for this.
And it's kind of interesting that Bruce points out that stuff that's in our home can be used without our knowledge or consent, because my brain automatically goes, what do you mean consent? Wouldn't I have to give consent for that sort of thing to be allowed? My gosh, it's un-American, and so on. Our apologies to the global listeners who are not Americans. And Bruce makes the point, yes, but we did consent. I mean, we didn't consent, but we did, and to quote him, the license agreement we didn't read but legally agreed to when we unthinkingly clicked I agree on some screen or another, or just opened the package we purchased, gives all of those companies the legal right to conduct all of this surveillance on us. Yep. And the way U.S. privacy law is currently written, they own all the data and they don't need to allow us to see it. Oh, man. And I think there's something more interesting here, because if you think about IoT, you're not usually thinking about, with a web browser, it's pretty obvious how they track me. I click here, I type this search into the search engine interface, and obviously they're gathering all that data, and that's how they're going to track me.
Yep.
But with IoT, so the question comes in, how is the spying being done? And it's not just that the individual devices are spying on you in certain ways. They're actually doing it cross-device. They're taking all of the devices that you own and meshing that data together to figure out not just who you are and what you're interested in, but what you use cross-device and things about your house, making inferences from there and then going deeper into the advertising stuff. They don't want just your browser. They want you no matter what device you're on. And here's where it gets super creepy. And I think we've talked about this on the show a little bit before. But again, going back to quote the article, Silverpush is the name of a company here. Silverpush is an Indian startup that's trying to figure out all the different computing devices you own. Okay, how does it do that? Silverpush embeds inaudible sounds into the web pages you read and the television commercials you watch. Software secretly embedded in your computers, tablets, and smartphones picks up the signals and then uses cookies to transmit that information back to Silverpush. The result is that the company can track you across your different devices. It can correlate the television commercials you watch with the web searches you make. It can link the things you do on your tablet with the things you do on your work computer. Oh,
They're making an intelligence network to spy on you out of your devices.
It's Skynet for marketing. It's awful. Oh, man. I mean, I was reading that paragraph, and we've heard about the inaudible sounds thing before. I think you and I have talked about this, or at least it rings a bell with me if we haven't talked about it on Citizens of Tech before. Dude, does that not creep you out? That there's software maybe embedded in your phone or your browser or whatever, making an inaudible sound that some other electronic device nearby can pick up, and then they cross-reference the data?
Yeah, and I think this, when you start talking about this stuff, this is when Richard Stallman goes, "Yeah, I told you so." And everyone, goes, "How crazy is that Stallman guy?"
It's almost even creepier than Minority Report. So, the scene in Minority Report where Tom Cruise is walking into a store and they do a retina scan and then it begins popping up, right? Oh, welcome back, so-and-so. Would you last time you were here, you bought this. Were you interested in these things? Or here's some specials. Here's a movie you might be interested in, etc. It's almost worse than that.
Worse, right? Because it's happening in your own home.
Oh, I don't know, man.
So wrong.
And to think that the U.S. privacy laws are not on our side, they're on the side of the people who take this information from us. It bothers me a lot that if you want to use this software, you got to click the "I agree," whatever it says. You're just like, yeah, firstborn child, I agree, and you go. And what is your option?
Yeah, you're clicking away your rights.
It sucks, man. It just I don't have a solution to this problem. It's just
use only
terrible.
open hardware and only open software, and review all the code yourself and compile it yourself. And that's the only feasible solution, because everyone has time for all that.
Yeah. Well, let's take a peek into the future. Nanoshells deliver molecules that tell bones to repair themselves. You found this on laboratoryequipment.com. What the heck are you doing reading laboratoryequipment.com?
Just a little light reading before. It was aggregated somewhere. I don't recall where I found this. It may have been on the tweets. I don't know. But this caught my attention. It's a super cool technology that's sort of being devised here. But basically, they're telling cells at an injury site to start repair work. And they're doing it at the molecular level. So to quote from the article from laboratoryequipment.com, scientists at the University of Michigan have developed a polymer sphere that delivers a molecule to bone wounds that tells cells already at the injury site to repair the damage. Using the polymer sphere to introduce the microRNA molecule into cells elevates the job of existing cells to that of injury repair by instructing the cell's healing and bone-building mechanisms to switch on, said Peter Ma, professor of dentistry and lead researcher on the project. So this therapy can last a long time. It can last as long as a month. The microRNA is time-released, which allows for therapy to last for up to a month or longer.
So, okay, so what they've really done here is the polymer sphere is like a delivery mechanism of a microRNA molecule. Okay, so the sphere has got the microRNA inside. The microRNA molecule hits the site, and then that says, "Hey, everybody, get to work. Injury repair. Let's go. Chop, chop."
Everybody out. Go do your job.
I guess I'm a little puzzled though, because I mean, broken bones heal themselves and stuff, and that just happens, right? It's part of being human. So what's the use case for this technology?
Yeah, that's true. They do heal themselves and sort of have for a long time now, automatically. But consider other things such as bone loss, for instance. From the article here, another quote: the technology can help grow bone in people with conditions like oral implants, those undergoing bone surgery or joint repair, or people with tooth decay.
Oh.
Millions of patients worldwide suffer from bone loss and associated functional problems, but growing and regenerating high-quality bone for specific applications is still very difficult with current technology.
That's interesting. So think about osteoporosis.
Yep.
All the treatments that I am aware of for osteoporosis are to slow down and try to limit further loss. It is not a regrowth treatment that I'm aware of. This actually looks like a quality way that maybe it could be applied to osteoporosis at some point, which would be really helpful for those who suffer from that.
Yeah. Instead of just mitigating damage, this looks to be able to help actually repair the damage. So instead of just extending how long your bones are going to last before they break, it can actually strengthen them, apparently. So, yeah, it's a pretty neat technology.
And, dude, it's also neat that they can work on the molecular level. I mean, nanobots are cool, and I've seen close-up electron microscopes, shots of nanobots with little gears and things that they do, and it's like, woo, neat. This is even tinier than that, it seems like, this sphere with the microRNA molecule inside. That is awesome.
It's releasing microRNA. That's the crazy thing. RNA was already small. Whatever I don't know how they define microRNA. I presume it's segments of RNA, not complete strands or something. But yeah, it's wild that we're talking about releasing things on the molecular level and influencing the healing process at that tiny, minuscule little level. So super cool.
Well, I want to put something else on Death Watch. It's been a few shows, and I've got something I want to add to the mix. And you know what that is?
What?
CD players and automobiles. You know why? Because I have a CD player in my automobile, and it sucks.
And I do, too, and I never, ever used... My car is 3.5 years old, and I've never used the CD player in my car.
I mean, the Forester I just bought, this thing's got a 6 CD changer. It's got the factory stereo in it, and it's like, oh, how... quaint.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to put the physical shiny thing inside? Oh, that's weird. And I just don't like consuming music this way. And the Spotify Premium with offline syncing has really spoiled me. You can sync 3,333 songs to your Spotify offline, which is a lot. And ask me how I know it's 3,333.
Because you have 3,333 songs synced to your offline library?
And not 4, because that was too many. It stopped syncing at that point. And when you Google around, you find out that it can't do any
some
more
sort
than
of
that.
software limit.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Maybe I don't need all the Beethoven string quartets. That'd give me back about 100 and something tracks. Okay. Anyway. And if I'm not listening to Spotify Premium, I'd rather consume my own collection. I have 300 or 400 CDs. I've got the whole thing ripped, and I'd rather consume them that way.
Yep.
CDs in the car, it's like, okay, physical. No, I've got this like sleeve of CDs sitting in my door, the little door pocket, like a savage. And it doesn't hold very much data. I mean, a thumbstick would hold 50 or 100 times the amount of music that these physical CDs are holding.
And they scratch and they get lost. And yeah.
And the other thing is, so I do have some CDs in the player now in the head unit. I mean, it was just Christmas, so I got some Christmas CDs in there. And there's no CD text. It doesn't tell me the artist and it doesn't tell me the track name, which I can't believe how used to that I've gotten, but I am totally used to that. And some people go, hey, Ethan, CD text is a thing. Well, yeah, it's a thing, right? But not all head units read the data, and most CDs are not encoded with CD text. I'm sorry. You can find them, but they're few and far between. Most of the CDs I ever had with CD text that worked were CDs that I burned myself.
Yep.
And, I guess the other argument you could make, Eric, and I don't know if you've run into the audiophile types that are super serious about this, but it's like, oh, MP3s make my ears bleed. They're so compressed. CDs sound so much better. In the car, though, I mean, I'll get with you on that argument for a ways, but I mean, in the car, who cares? The automobile's got wind and road noise, and I'll tell you, my Forester's got lots of wind noise. And there's crappy speaker placement. You got a couple in the dash, some in the door, some behind you. I mean, the best you can hope for in your car is like loud, clean, faithful frequency reproduction and no distortion, but you're never going to get a proper soundstage. You're never going to get control of reflections. I mean, think about it. Where your ears are, it's all glass. And then if you've got a sunroof, there's more glass. It's just... So if you're an audiophile, don't even make that argument with me in the car because I just don't care. So
have your high-end stereo at home and just
exactly,
have a passable, workable one in the car because that's the best you can really hope for with the road noise and the terrible acoustics and all that. Basically, is what you're saying.
And to me, the car is just a perfect application for streaming music, right? And all the head units are catering to this now. You got Android Auto, CarPlay, being pretty mainstream, or going to be mainstream in 2016. Tons of announcements. If there was anything interesting that came out of CES for me, it was that, all the different traction around Android Auto and CarPlay.
Yep.
And then, of course, we've been able to read with varying levels of success depending on the head unit. We've been able to read music files off of thumbsticks for a long time, too.
Yep.
So
yeah, I remember my head unit probably almost a decade ago being able to read MP3s off a thumbstick, actually.
Yeah, and I say varying degrees of success because sometimes it works, sometimes it's like, why did it read the tag like that? Those are all strange characters. I'm sure I didn't use those.
Is that Klingon?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm calling it CD players and automobiles dead.
Fair enough.
It's just dead. Okay.
I'm with you.
Content I like, Eric. You found some interesting stuff. You sent me over an IM at one point that was a little off the beaten path for us, but I thought it'd be worth talking about.
My wife sent me a link to this soundtrack. My wife is into show tunes and all that, and we go to see shows occasionally. And one thing that she sent over to me was Hamilton, the original Broadway cast recording. And this is available on Spotify. It's available on Google Play Music, other various locations, I'm sure.
Okay, so Hamilton is the name of the Broadway musical?
Correct. That's correct. And I went into it totally not thinking, okay, what is this? Just sort of, she sent me a link and or told me to listen to it or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. So I click on it, and the first tune starts up, and it starts up, and it's like this sort of new hip hop sort of sound. But all of a sudden, I realized that Hamilton is Alexander Hamilton, the founding father. It's a musical about Alexander Hamilton's life, and Aaron Burr and George Washington and all these characters are in it.
The Illuminati, we're the space aliens, how they founded our country,
and they teleported the Okay, maybe not that last bit, but so I found myself listening to it, and it threw me for a loop because, to quote the author of both the lyrics and the music, and he's also the main star. He's Alexander Hamilton in the show on Broadway. He said he's telling the story of America then in the style of America's culture now. And so it's sort of this strange historical journey through current sounds. There's beatbox sounds going on. There are rap battles in this thing. It's crazy. But the really, really interesting thing is, I've never cared so much about the history surrounding the Revolutionary War because of this musical that I listened to. I didn't see the show. I was just listening to it. And
so it's piqued your interest in that section of history, you're saying?
Yeah. In American school systems, in elementary school, you have to learn about the Revolutionary War and the starting of our country and all that. And I learned stuff to pass a test. It wasn't because I cared about what actually happened.
Yeah.
But, as I get older, I care more about history. The particular reason it really piqued my interest was because it's so smartly written and scored. And it's a very interesting retelling of the story of Alexander Hamilton and all of, the people that were surrounding him in our early government, but with that modern vibe. So it's this crazy retelling, but it's incredibly powerful. If you can get past that, okay, these are, old-timey tales told with, a hip-hop beat or whatever. So, yeah, that's content I like.
Yeah, I know what you mean about the, seeing things that all of a sudden pique your interest in history. I mean, for me, that was Lincoln Vampire Slayer or Vampire Hunter. I forget what. It was a documentary about Lincoln and, as he battled through Civil War times with the vampires that were threatening.
Carefully researched, yeah.
Oh, it was quite diligent work, yeah. Yes.
So, did you learn anything today?
Man, I learned something. I learned that there is a bacteria that can actually degrade plastic. This bacteria exists, but it was discovered accidentally. So there's a story here. There's a link in the show notes if you're interested in reading the rest of the story. But here's the summary. In 2014, a Chinese researcher found holes in plastic bags of millet in his pantry, plus moths and larvae nearby. And so his brain went, ooh, I wonder if the moths and the larvae are responsible for the holes in my plastic bags of millet. So his team analyzed the gut of these little critters and discovered a bacteria inside that can digest and degrade polyethylene. And so therefore, there is hope for our landfills yet. Pretty awesome, huh?
We just need a few trillion of these larvae.
Well, just knowing there's some critter that can
Yeah,
degrade this stuff is
that is really cool. Actually,
pretty awesome. So,
when you think about what plastic is, it's a hydrocarbon chain. You got to figure something out there can eat it, hopefully, right? So that's super cool.
Yeah, this is super cool. Well, that is it for this Citizens of Tech, and as we bring the Citizens of Tech podcast to a close, we encourage you to pay close attention to your enemy radar. Ooh, dots. Nope, they're gone. Nope. No, wait, there they are. To the left. No, to the right. Where are they? They have to be right on top of us. Yes. Oh, yes, they are. Right above you. They're in the ceiling, and it's too late. Until next time, farewell, fellow citizens.